Hey, once again, we are back. My name is Zach Williams. I'm joined by my co-host,
Billy Williams.
and we are here answering diesel questions, taking tech calls, helping the world with all their diesel problems. This week we have a tech call, and you spoke with Mr. Rodriguez. He had a truck that had sat up for a long time.
Yep.
What application was it that he had?
It was a 6.2 liter, and we thought this was a good call because we're running into this more and more where guys are reviving their old diesels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something that's sitting in their back 40 or on the somewhere for sometimes months and years, and I think a lot of that's prompted by going down to the dealership and getting sticker shock by a $100,000 diesel that you're going to have to wait 9 months to even get.
So typically they would get something new, but then they realize they probably don't have the bank funds for that, so they're more inclined to fix up what they got. So what are some of the problems, before we get into the call, that you might find on a vehicle? Real quickly, what are some of the problems that you would find on a vehicle that's sat up for 6 months, a year, maybe even more?
Well, and that's a good question, and let me frame it like this: to those of you out there who you maybe are contemplating, getting an old diesel pickup and restoring it, and the first thing that I encourage everyone to do is to, if you've had a truck that has set up certainly for more than 6 months, I would maybe even cap it at 3. You have got to get rid of that old diesel fuel that's in that vehicle, because diesel fuel of today, and those of you out here who've pulled wrenches for long periods of time, you know that the diesel fuel of today is not the diesel fuel we had 25 years ago.
Right.
And it breaks down very quickly, and it literally and figuratively gums up the works. And so the very first thing you've got to do, and a lot of people, this is where they make the mistake. They say, well, I changed the fuel filter. Filters are not designed.
That's not a fix-all.
It's not. Filters are designed as a maintenance item to catch miscellaneous debris down to a micron level.
Right.
Filters are not designed as a treatment for bad
old fuel.
For old fuel. So that's the first misconception a lot of people have.
Right.
You've got to get that fuel out. Depending on circumstances, you may have to delve further, but at the very least, you've got to get fresh fuel into that system with some good quality additives, which we talked about in the call. And
you also talked about Mr. Rodriguez. He had questions about. He obviously knew that it had been sitting up for too long, and that there were going to be some problems in trying to start it up and trying to get it back on the road. I believe he mentioned that he needed this truck for work, so he didn't have the luxury of testing his abilities on this truck. And ultimately it boiled down to, he was questioning about the fuel pump and whether or not that was something that he could rebuild, or if it was something that he might want to send off to a shop like ours that specializes in remanufacturing those fuel injection systems.
Right, and that's the other reason we thought this would be a good call, because this is a dilemma that a lot of people are facing. Now, we're one of the few shops that we sell parts. If you call us and say, hey, I'm building my pump, I need this, this, and this, you can call and get it. You most likely don't even need the part number. You can call, we'll send you a breakdown. You say, I need this part, and this part, and we can send them to you.
Right.
We also offer specialty tools. So, if there's a special tool, we can provide you with all that. We can provide you with a certain level of tech support. But what's interesting about this call is he mentioned that he wanted to use this for a tow truck. And for those of you out there who, you're not restoring your grandfather's diesel, this is how you make your money.
Right.
You're a plumber, you're a contractor.
This isn't just a hobby. This isn't just for fun. You need this truck to run.
Exactly. And in that case, you really need to sit down with pencil and paper and do the math and say, okay, this truck is making me $200 a day.
Yeah.
All right. Now I can tell you, if you were to send us a pump today, you'd be looking at about a minimum of a 10 to 14 day turnaround.
Yeah.
So with shipping and everything else, let's just cap it at 20 days that's down. Well, if that truck makes you just say $200 a day, do the math, it's $4,000.
Right.
So
never mind the time that you're going to spend.
There's that, and you're going to have to balance out the two. What I recommend to folks is, first off, look at a realistic downtime that you're going to have. And one of and we haven't even talked about, we may even do a whole segment on it. It's impossible to find diesel mechanics that are even willing to take people in right now. I have customers who I talk to on a regular basis who say, my guy can't get me for 3 months.
Yeah, because there's just too much work and not enough.
There are not enough
labor.
wrench pullers out there. And I actually was calling for a customer trying to they owed us cores, so I was trying to find someone who could do the work, and the customer asked me to do it, and that's what I found. I called a couple of shops, and a guy said, "Listen, I am filled up through, at the time it was through the end of September."
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with not a project truck, but when you're dealing with a moneymaker,
yeah, something you need to get done,
you really ought to consider just going the exchange route and being done with it. And that's what me and Mr. Rodriguez talked about. It's a very nice gentleman. Enjoyed the call. I appreciate him allowing us to use it. And
let's take a look at it.
All right.
Let's see the clip.
Hello?
Mr. Rodriguez, please.
This is him.
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez. My name's Billy Williams. I work in the tech department of Diesel Care and Performance.
Yes, sir.
Did I catch you at a bad time? I was asked to give you a call. You had some questions about an 85 Ford F-350.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't recognize the number. Actually, I was watching a whole bunch of your videos, and I got to determine, and I was told that you might be able to help me determine whether I need to order the pump or get it rebuilt.
I certainly can help you with that. So let me review my notes with you and make sure that I've got everything accurate. It says you had an injection pump installed about 3 years ago, ran for about a month, and then the truck's been sitting up for a long time, 3 years.
Oh yeah.
And now you're having a difficult time getting it to crank.
Yeah. So I ended up watching some of the videos and troubleshooting it.
Okay.
And I determined that the problem is the injection pump, because I'm getting fuel to it, but it's not coming out.
Okay.
And when I take the feeder from the fuel filter to the back of the injector pump, a lot of fuel, and the lift pump is also new.
Okay.
But and the truck ran fine after we put the injection pump on it. It's just that we didn't need the truck anymore, and it just stayed there. We never crunk it or anything. And I noticed that when it rained, the island got full of water down the engine, and so time passed, and here we are talking about it. I said, but the pump only got like a month use or 2 months, and just the fact that it sat there is the problem, So
right.
I was afraid to take it apart before I watch the videos or send it out and get it done. I just need to get the truck going. But for training purposes and just to learn, I would really love to do it,
Sure.
But I hate to go through all that and not get the truck running. I need to get the truck running because I want to use the tow truck again.
Right.
to make money since I'm unemployed right now. So I need that truck.
Right. Well, you've obviously, watched some of our videos, and a lot of that good information is out there. Based on what you've kind of told me and kind of the information that I have, I would say probably pulling the pump and having it serviced. I think you would probably be better off to have your pump serviced rather than just getting an exchange. Because when you send the injection pump into us, we have we call it PLEM notes, but it's preliminary evaluations. And so when we open that up, we'll be able to tell you, was there a fuel contamination issue? Was there water? We might be able to point you in a direction as to what happened. And there are any number of things it can be, but the pump's been sitting up for 3 years. You're probably going to be better off getting that one serviced, because that truck is set idle for a large bit of time, and that's time.
Long time.
Well, and that's time that pump wasn't running, so there was no wear. So you're probably going to get a little bit better quality rebuild out of a low mileage pump than say one that we got from a customer that's got 300,000 miles on it. So I would recommend getting your pump built. Also, you might want to consider pulling the injectors and just having those pop tested. They're probably fine. But anytime something sits up for that length of time, there's, metal adhesion can happen. And, it's just a good idea to get those. What you don't want to have happen is having a nozzle in it that's not fully closing and it's dumping fuel in, and then you can cause engine damage. So, truck sits 3 years. You just got to kind of freshen that system up. And so I would recommend certainly doing that. But based on what you're telling me, I think you're probably down the right path. Go ahead and pull the injection pump, and the shop should be able to get it turned around fairly quickly. That's we build those on a daily basis.
So I could take my pump, send it out to you guys, and instead of dealing with another pump, now the pump that I would be sending back, remember, I bought it rebuilt. I don't know how many miles it got, but after, I know that it's not the pump fault or anybody's fault, because once we put the pump in, the truck ran fine. It's just that it sat there that long. So I saw another video where the guy got gook in it, and the what do you call it, the injection thing was not moving the way when he took the top part.
Yeah, the
top cover off.
The metering valve, right? Yeah. The
metering valve. So then he got it moving back and forth. After he cleaned it, he put it back. He had the same issue. He take the cover off. The metering valve was back to being sluggish. He said, I got goop down at the bottom. So he said, I'm going to have to take it in, and I'm afraid to get into that. So I might have to just send it out to you guys. I think your advice is definitely sensible. It makes sense. And I got no choice. I've reached a point where I'm going to have to spend money. That's all it is to it.
Right.
And I'm 99.9% that's what I got to do. I got to send it to you guys. I see no other way, because I could, like I said, I could take it out myself and play around with it just to learn. But in the video, your guy, I forget his name, with the white beard, the mustache, he said something that really hit the chord with me. He said, if you're going to practice your first time, you better find one someplace else. And, and I like that also, that because I don't want to do that to my pump and not work.
Sure.
Because yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the video that you're in reference to. We're talking about just getting a spare pump, rather than pulling.
Right.
Yeah, that's it's always a better because there's a lot of difference between breaking a bolt off and just a spare pump than the one that you're going to put back on the truck. But
because honestly, I've been mechanicking for a very long time. I'm a vet, and I did this in the Army, but I've never dealt with the fuel injection pump itself. And so I could play around with it, this and that, the other thing, but I don't have another pump.
Right.
And like your video suggests,
right.
If I want to practice, I want to learn, I don't want to do it with my truck and have the truck sitting longer, But I already went through the whole process. I got new lines. I flushed the old fuel out of the tank. I got new fuel everywhere. It's coming. Everything is working except the fuel pump, the fuel injection pump.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. And you mentioned you were in the military, and we appreciate your service as always. And
you're welcome.
There is a military discount that's available. Mention that to customer service. And if you would do me one favor, because you mentioned our videos, if you could go back on and just share that we reached out to you, and if you want to tell them I'm a nice guy, that's fine.
Hey man, I love your videos, man. I'm telling you, man, I fell in love with your videos. You guys I admire this, and I will say all this that I'm telling you. I admire the fact that you guys don't hold back. You tell everything to everybody out there, and knowing what I know, and I could follow the videos and do this, but I'd rather have you guys do the pump. You guys achieved it. Whatever the goal was on the videos, I think you guys made it. Because I'm a mechanic, and I've been mechanical all my life. I own my own shop. I own my tow truck. But I'd rather have you guys do it. Somehow I could be mechanically, or I could be mechanical about this thing and be hard-headed and say, no, I'm going to do it. But I just feel so comfortable with you guys watching your videos. You calling me, the girl that I talked to, I told her, man, you are so nice. What's your name? On a professional level. I am so happy and pleased of what you guys are doing, your program. And I got all the mechanics involved on this thing and watching the videos too.
Well, good. That's good to hear. And
I'm telling you, man, you guys got something good going, man.
Well, that's nice to hear, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you so much. And this is my cell number, so if you have any further questions, you can reach out to me.
And I'm gonna write down your name right here again because I kind of forget things sometimes. So tell me your name again.
My name's Billy Williams.
Billy Williams. Okay. Yes. Hey, that sounds like the guy from Star Wars, but the color's probably different.
That's Billy D. Williams, but
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, I don't have his pizzazz or his money. But we do share the same name.
Well, I don't agree with you on the pizzazz. You got the pizzazz, maybe not the money.
Okay.
You got the pizzazz.
Well, we appreciate it. Like I said, mention that you're military so that can get that discount put on there. And again, appreciate the call. If you have anything further, don't hesitate to call us back.
I appreciate you so much, Mr. Williams. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, sir. Have a good day.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.
What do you think?
That it always helps me to know that the videos that we produce have a positive effect on someone. Not just that they learn about our company and grow to understand, the products and services that we offer. That is a nice carrot. I appreciate that. But to have someone like that who goes above and beyond to express how much he appreciates the information that we put out there, that feels really good. So that was nice of him. I appreciate all of his kind words. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. And in the end, he did decide that he was going to send the pump in,
right?
And let us take a look at it. So we look forward to getting his pump in and taking a look at it, see what's going on. You made the comment during the call, the pump hasn't been having a lot of wear. So while the fuel had a shelf life, obviously, and it went way past that, the pump itself, because it wasn't being used, it probably doesn't have as much internal wear and tear that it would had it been being functional throughout that entire time. So I found that interesting. But yeah, what was your takeaways from the call?
Well, as these vehicles get older, your repair plan has to change dramatically. And, you have to consider, first and foremost, what you just talked about. Is it better to get my pump rebuilt or to go with an exchange? And full disclosure, we're a rebuild facility, have been for years. And while we calibrate pumps all to the same standard, sometimes we may have to make certain adjustments to get the fuel deliveries we need because we're overcoming wear. Now, a naysayer might say, well, if something's worn, why don't you replace it? Well, in certain instances, those parts are no longer available. And so we're in that final stage of rebuilding where in certain instances we're having to take 2 and 3 pumps to make one. Now, if you're out there and you've got grandpa's truck that's been, sitting under his carport for 15 years, you're probably going to be better off to get that pump rebuilt, simply because it doesn't have the wear that.
Right. You might be able to find parts from other pumps, replace the things that need replacing, and it'll be better off than having to start from scratch and, completely replace the pump.
Right. And, so that was the first kind of takeaway from the call. The second takeaway, and this is the tip of a much larger iceberg that, if you're a diesel connoisseur, I mean, if you open your phone and there's ads for diesel, conditioners and power modules and this, that, and other, you
live the life.
If you live the life, as you say, nobody knows what's going to be available to the diesel consumer 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I've read articles that talk about, in 2035, they're outlawing all gasoline and diesel. We're still hoping that there's a diesel exemption, that as consumer vehicles go to battery technology, that they will allow diesels an exemption.
Sure.
That being said,
it's uncertain.
It's uncertain, but at the very least, you're going to have diesel vehicles are going to sell for $100,000. So no matter how this heads, if you're sitting out there today and you have a 7.3 IDI or a 6.2 liter, and it's just a truck that you've had and you just don't want to get rid of, maybe you pull your boat with it once or twice a year, you're sitting on gold. I'm telling you now, you are sitting on gold.
If you maintain it.
I talked to a customer a couple of days ago. He had bought a truck for $1,000. And he knew what he had.
Right.
And he said almost immediately, he had just posted on Facebook and said, "Hey, look at the truck I got, cheap." He said immediately offers were 6, 7, 8,000. I'll buy that truck from you today. So my point is that diesel has never been a better investment. Because you will get your use out of it. And when the time comes, depending on how the future holds, you might get as much out of that truck as what it was bought for new. And a lot of people will say, well, that's a crazy old man. And you get people that agree with you. But I'm telling you, if we go the battery technology way and there are no diesel exemptions except for what's on the road that day, like I said, you are driving around in gold. Wow. And you want to preserve that, because you're not going to be able to get that type of power and torque and reliability and functionality and just overall use out of what I've seen out of battery technology. I just feel like those vehicles are going to be worth gold. And so to Mr. Rodriguez, I think you're making a good call fixing it up. Hopefully we will do you a good job. And for those of you out there, if you're trying to decide whether you want to do the work and how much it's going to cost, we've been down this road 1,000 times with 1,000 different customers. We are more than willing to talk to you. Myself, one of our technical associates, one of our salespeople.
Right.
You can call us at 800-961-9290. We'll be happy to give you your options, and hopefully, if you decide to go that route, maybe supply you with some of the product.
I think we can wrap on that. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.
Yes, I'm built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running because walking is most too slow.
All right, back to one.